Hello there, film enthusiast. Welcome back to another of my honest reviews. Today, we're diving into Thudarum, starring the legendary Mohanlal and Shobana. If you have been seeing all the hype around this film and are wondering whether it's worth your time, well, stick with me as we unpack this emotional roller coaster that isn't quite what it advertises itself to be. Let's start from the plot. Thudarum introduces us to Benz, a former stuntman who settled into a peaceful life in Rani, Kerala. He lives with his wife, Lalita, and their two teenage children, making a living as a taxi driver with a very prized possession, a black ambassador car gifted to him by his master, his employer. His life revolves entirely around his family and, yes, the beloved car. But when his son's college friend takes the ambassador, the car, for an ill-fated joyride, things take a very dramatic turn. What begins as Ben's desperate attempt to recover his beloved car spirals into a series of increasingly dark events that pulls his entire family into chaos. And here's when things get interesting, and yes, potentially frustrating. Thudarum performs quite the marketing sleight of hands. If you have seen the trailers or posters of the movie, you would be forgiven for expecting a wholesome family drama featuring the beloved pairing of Monhalal and Shobana. But what you really get is something entirely different. The film begins with what it appears to be a very light-hearted, even kind of like slapstick comedy, before taking a sharp turn into a much darker territory. Let me start with the technical aspects now that we've discussed the plot. One of my first complaints is the slow motion scenes. Like, good grief, there are lots of them. The film is absolutely drowning in slow motion sequences that, to be honest, add very little to the narrative, while significantly extending the runtime. Yes, this movie is long, and I'm pretty sure that we could trim a good 20 minutes maybe from the movie if we just play these slow motion scenes at normal speed. And my second complaint is that the sound mixing in this film is genuinely problematic. Now, I should mention that this might vary depending on the cinema you watch the movie in, but my experience involved music that completely overwhelmed the dialogue at some points, and something that was even more distracting, it was how characters' voices would dramatically change depending on whether they were on screen or off screen. Their voices sounded just very different. I think that's a very basic technical issue, but it's very jarring and kind of like upsetting in a movie theater. On a positive note, I should say that the songs in Thudarum are remarkably well integrated into the narrative. Unlike many films where musical numbers are kind of like shoehorned in, each song in Thudarum serves as an effective transition between locations or periods of time, and that helps maintaining the flow rather than interrupting it. Now, another one of my concerns with this movie is the acting and the characters, starting with Monhalal performance. Let me address the elephant in the room, or maybe I should say the aging action star in the room. Monhalal delivers exactly what his fans want, a middle-aged family man who somehow transforms into an unstoppable fighting machine when provoked. While this performance as the loving father and husband in the first half of the movie feel genuine and somewhat warm, the transition into an action hero stretches credibility. Is this film really asking us to believe that this bulky, older gentleman possesses the fighting prowess of John Wick, complete with the slow motion roundhouse kick and bone-crunching punches? Is this realistic? Not in the slightest. Is it what Monhalal fans pay to see? Well, absolutely. This movie is just pure fan service. While yes, Monhalal is undeniably a talented actor with an impressive body of work, there is something increasingly familiar about the roles he's choosing to play as of lately. In Thudarum, we once see him again as this family man turned action hero, which feels like a character we've seen him play numerous times before. The other member of the cast that I would like to highlight is Shobana, who, as always, delivers a solid performance as Lalita. But I have to say that the script doesn't give her nearly enough to work with. After being prominently featured in the marketing, she is just reduced to the standard suffering wife role with very limited screen time. The family dynamics are established very well in the first half, which makes it all the more disappointing when the plot abandons these relationships later on. The movie also attempts to tackle serious social issues, particularly honor killings and police corruption. And these are very certainly worthy topics that deserve thoughtful exploration in cinema. However, the film's approach feels contradictory and somewhat superficial. Let me start with police portrayal in this movie. The film presents an almost comically corrupt police force. While police misconduct is certainly a valid subject for exploration, Thudarum pushes it to such extremes that it becomes cartoonish rather than thought-provoking. This movie is being compared to Drishyam in some aspects, but I have to say that while Drishyam intelligently explored police inefficiency and understaffing, Thudarum opts instead for relentless brutality and power abuse. This approach quickly becomes repetitive, emotionally exhausting, and ultimately, I feel less impactful than what a more nuanced approach could have been. The other sensitive topic is the topic of honor killings. And this is one of the most significant themes the film attempts to address. It is truly a serious issue that continues to plague parts of Indian society, and I think it's commendable that the film brings attention to this problem, but I think the handling of it is a bit contradictory. Without venturing too much into spoiler territory, the protagonist's ultimate response to his suffering raises questions about the film's actual message. Is it condemning violence or simply suggesting that violence is just the answer to more violence? I have to say that this violence is wrong unless it's done by our hero approach undermines any meaningful statement that the film is trying to make. Now, moving on to the narrative structure. The second half of the movie, after the intermediate, suffers from significant structural problems. After the major twist is revealed and we understand the injustice that has befallen the family, the plot essentially stalls. It just stops, nothing else happens. We are subjected to scenes of brutality without any meaningful progression in the script. Even more frustrating is how the protagonist spends too much of the second half walking around in slow motion. Yes, again, it's me with the slow motion scenes, without reconnecting with his family. It just becomes a let me seek vengeance film. This certainly robs the audience of any emotional closure for the characters we've grown to care about in the first half. This narrative stagnation makes the film feel much longer than its actual runtime. By the time we reach the climax, what should have been an emotionally cathartic moment feels hollow and unearned. As I said, there are clear parallels to Drishyam, another Monhalal film. But the comparison, I think, doesn't make Thudarum look any better. While both movies deal with ordinary men protecting their family from extraordinary circumstances, Drishyam maintains a tight, logical plot with a satisfying resolution. Thudarum, on the other hand, unfortunately loses its way halfway through. Now, my final verdict. I think Thudarum is a film with an identity crisis. It wants to be a heartwarming family drama at the beginning, a brutal revenge thriller towards the end, a showcase for an aging star, and a serious commentary on social issues. Everything at once. But unsurprisingly, it doesn't fully succeed at any of these ambitions. While, yes, there are moments of genuine emotion and some well-crafted scenes here and there, the film excesses and structural problems prevent it from reaching its true potential. That said, it is not without merit. Monhalal delivers exactly what the fans expect. The first half has genuine charm, and you can see him breaking bones and kicking around. So for devoted fans of the star, there is enough there to satisfy. But for everyone else though, Thudarum offers a mixed bag that never quite coheres into a satisfying whole. It is neither the masterpiece its supporters claim it to be, and it's not the disaster that some detractors suggest. It is simply an okay film elevated by star power, but hampered by indecisive storytelling. If you're a die-hard Monhalal fan, you've probably already seen it, so you don't need my advice. But for everyone else, I think this film falls squarely into watch if you have time territory. There are interesting elements there, but not enough to make it an essential viewing. Perhaps you should just wait for it when it inevitably arrives to streaming platforms. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts about Thudarum if you have seen it. Did you enjoy the tonal shift, or did you feel a bit misled by what the movie promised to be? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more these kind of film reviews. Until next time.